Morning, good afternoon, good evening to our esteemed colleagues, partners, students, and participants joining us from across the globe. Today's webinar, Enhancing Menstrual Health and Hygiene Management, Pathways for a Period-Friendly World, is a part of the GWSC Accelerator series, building on the momentum of the International Women's Day 2025. To spotlight how advancing SDG 17 partnerships for goals can drive inclusive menstrual health systems. Despite progress, menstruation remains stigmatized and under-resourced, especially for persons with disabilities, rural and gender diverse communities. As Menstrual Hygiene Day approaches, this session aims to spark dialogue, showcase inclusive innovations, and mobilize action for a period-friendly world. Our aims are threefold. First, to showcase intersectional innovations and community-led campaigns addressing menstrual stigma. Second, to strengthen menstrual hygiene partnerships through SDG 17 aligned collaboration models that bring together academia, development partners, and the private sector. Third, to inspire advocacy, equipping stakeholders with practical tools and messaging to sustain action on MHHM throughout May and beyond. During the session, if you have any questions, please submit them via chat and we'll post them to our panel. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Kyoko Kusakabe for her welcome remarks. Professor Kyoko is from AIT's Gender and Development Studies program. She's a leading scholar in Southeast Asia with almost 3 decades of research on labor migration, informal economies, and gendered livelihoods. Her foundational studies on Cambodian market vendors reveal systemic inequities in marginalized communities, addressing labor exploitation, agrarian shifts, and the disproportionate impacts of crisis on women. A staunch advocate for gender-responsive policies and inclusive environmental governance, she tackles migrant vulnerabilities, gender-based violence, and structural inequalities. Through her rigorous fieldwork, policy analysis, and global partnerships, she drives equitable development and resilience across the region. Over to you, Professor Kyoko.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Vinita, for the introduction, and welcome everybody to this webinar on enhancing menstrual hygiene management, pathways to a period-friendly world. This is a very important topic since, as Vinita have just said, the stigma and misunderstanding of menstruation leave girls and women missing out on education and work, and women are left to suffer from menstrual poverty with expensive access to menstrual products. So Vinita have asked me that I should focus on how can academia industry collaborations in research, development, innovation accelerate the creation of inclusive evidence-based WASH solutions for underrepresented groups. So I was thinking about this topic, and then I thought that, okay, in order to understand this, we need to look at the history of menstrual product development. So as we all know, so our grandmothers, that were using rags and all that for as a menstrual product. Sanitary napkins came. The concept of sanitary napkins came in the 1880s, but it was only in the 1930s when tampon was developed by Earl Haas, a physician who wanted to find a better solution to the rags his wife was using as a period product. So because there was a lot of this cultural, society, and religious concerns of using tampons. So this incorrect information, such as tampon would break your hymen and all that, those kind of things were there. So stigmatization of these menstrual products, whenever we wanted to advance, was even there in the 90s. Was very ever since the beginning. And then there was a long break, and it was only in the 1970s when superabsorbent tampon was developed, and so the current ones that we now see. So it was only that was only in 1970, so it was very, very recent actually. But then there was a lot of initially there was a lot of accidents by wrong usage of it, and then because people were not very open about using it, about the problem of that, and then so they were not changing it often and all that, so there was infection. So a lot of problem was there again, creating a lot of stigma again for tampon as well. So this really stigma and this taboo of talking about it have created a lot of problem in the product development. In the 1970s, around the same time, the adhesive pads were also developed, and the period underwear was only developed in the 1990s. The menstrual cups that we now see was already around the 1930s, but then it became more developed, much better friendly to users in the 2010s because of the environmental concerns, as well as the low cost that the menstrual cup will have. So the menstrual products needs have been there for centuries, but it was only in the last 50 years that the products have been sold in the market and was developed enough for people to be able to buy to some extent. It's very interesting to note that this actually coincides with the International Conference on Women. So the first one was in 1970, so it's very much related to women's empowerment, women coming out and discussing that also have pushed the development of menstrual products. So it's the history of development of menstrual products. You can see is it's a co-creation of researcher and private sector and women who were starting to demand for better products. And then also it's also very interesting to note that this kind of innovation came from compassion, watching their wives to have difficulty during the period that lead to the invention, like the tampon invention was like this. The more recent one is the invention of this low cost menstrual pads in Tamil Nadu. His motivation was also to help his wife. So it was compassion. That's also very important when we talk about academic industry collaboration. It's also about compassion that we're talking about. So this academic industry collaboration means that we all need to fight against the taboo and stigma on menstruation, since that stigma is suffocating the innovation in this area. So we need to remember that fighting against taboo and stigma on menstruation is good for everybody. So good for women, good for industry, good for everybody. And so if girls and women can speak up freely about their needs, academia, industry can develop new products, and industry can expand the market. So it's good for everybody. So it's also so that's about the industry product development. But we also need to remember that it's not only the product development that is important, but also the system and the policy development that recognize this as a problem. And then there's a need to bring women out of menstrual poverty. For example, the UK only in the 2021 had eliminated the 5% minimum value added tax imposed on sanitary products. So that's also one way that the government is showing their concern that they want to seriously tackle this problem of menstrual poverty. So in this case, it is my honor to be able to open this important webinar that highlights this need for fighting stigma, and then have more free flow of information and discussion on this issue. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to a fruitful, informative discussion today.